Every week, a new band. Brought to you by NZ On Air. Active Live! Yeah.
Kia ora and welcome back to our very first Active Live of 2022. My name is Tasha and we are joined by the incredible Misleading. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
How are you going this afternoon?
I'm very excited to be the first one back in a while.
I know. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you as our first guest for the year.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Been crazy times, so we're very stoked that Active Lives are back and ready for action.
Yeah. And musicians are just happy to be playing right now. So
Yeah, definitely. And we'll be able to get some great video from this as well a little bit later. So Misleading, you have been on a roll since 2021, having released both your first album, Minor Thing, and your most recent single, Self-Help, late last year. Tell us about your process leading up to those releases.
Oh, right. Well, Minor Thing was probably like a 2-year in the making piece of work. My process, I think it just started off with a collection of songs and it started to build up and I was like, oh, I might have enough for an album here. And then it became like the commitment to actually get that done. And I think the fun thing about making an album is as you go, you're developing as a musician and what you're making. Every track you're hoping to make better or pushing boundaries and you're looking to influences outside yourself to see. Like, I think that year, I'd hear a really cool beat and I'd be like, what was that beat? And like listen to it obsessively for a week and then think about how I'd want to interpret something like that in my own music. Yeah.
Nice. So like really kind of like knuckling in on those like misleading nuances almost and like nailing them out. That's really, really cool. Was there any track that helped you solidify your songwriting or like your creation of a track? Was there one track where you're like, this is how I should be writing or this is how I should be making?
I don't know. I think I keep changing it every time. I think you'll see from my set, like, I don't seem to stick to a genre at all. I think because I like such a wide variety of music, I haven't really stuck, but I definitely think, so if you'd heard, I've taken a lot of it offline, but my first EP, I really didn't know how to write songs in that way. I was a poet and then I was making beats and I was just putting those two together. But by the time the album came through, I would finally worked out what is poetry to song and how do you make those two work together. Yeah,
that's very cool. When did you first have the idea to put together the poetry and the beats you were making?
I think I was doing poetry pretty on the regular as a spoken word artist, and I was making beats at home just by myself for a while. And then after a while, I was like, I want to write a song, but I can't sing. And I was like, but I do know how to write poems. And someone had just said, just do that. That sounds cool. And I just put those two together, and it kind of worked, but it still felt really dissatisfied that it didn't have a musical element. And then I started training in vocals to bring that together.
Well, keen to go back to that one later about the training of the vocals. But you're also no stranger to the stage, having worked and performed with artists like Sam and Zanza and at festivals like Kia Mau and Toka Fest. Tell us about your performing history, both with the Misleading project and in general.
Probably been performing in lots of things since a kid, but more seriously over the last 7 years, I guess as a spoken word artist. I started in New Zealand, and then when it got to Edinburgh, there's just like an infinite amount of opportunities to perform over there, even though it's the same size as Wellington. They're just arts mad over there. So you can do like an open mic poetry night 5 nights a week if you want to. And so I think one month I just was like, I need to get good at this. So I did 20 in a month to just really get good.
You did 20 shows?
Yeah.
In 1 month?
Yeah.
Did you sleep? No.
No, probably not. It's time to think of it. It was a while ago. But yeah, you really get good if you're just consistently performing. And then I was actually talking to Roddy earlier saying that how I got annoyed that I tended to get put off by noises in the crowd, so I decided to put myself in really difficult environments like busking on the Edinburgh Fringe Royal Mile with 40,000 people walking past who don't like you. And I just figured that if I could survive in that, then any live performance would be easy afterwards.
Wow, that's like an intense way to get yourself good at something. Like,
yeah,
go straight into the lion's den. Oh, I don't like that noise in the crowd. I'm going to go busk. That's amazing.
In the worst busking environment you'll ever find yourself in.
What if you could sum it up in 1 or 2 learnings that you took away from specifically that experience, what would it be?
You don't know who your audience is. Yeah, because when I did busk, I was very fascinated by who did stop, and it wasn't who I expected. Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah, you never know. All right, well, how about we give our wonderful Radioactive listeners the taste of the first Active Live back?
Sure.
Cool, let's go. Amazing. Thank you so much. What was that first track called?
That was just me improvising a bit. It's sort of like a draft track I have that I haven't figured out what I'm doing with yet. So I like to just play around live with it. It was a lot of fun doing that.
It was real funky. I really like that. I get the huge privilege of being able to watch you perform right now. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about your synth strom that you have got there? Because you were playing around on that and it looks like you're the captain of a space station with all the lights and the buttons.
I definitely feel like the captain of a space station when I'm playing with it in a great way. This is a Deluge synth strom. My one's a little bit different. I have like the first edition, so when I post online I get teased for my fat buttons. So there were 12 of these made by a Wellingtonian who wanted to create something new and innovative. And I thought, hey, let's give this was at the time I was looking for a synthesizer that worked with the way my brain works. And this was exactly everything because it's a sequencer and it has like a selection of samples that you can add more into and manipulate, and you can sequence and program in your music. And it's just wonderful. So I think without it, I would never have started making music.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it because it is just that intuitive towards your own way of thinking, like you said before, that you've been able to explore that creativity because you've got another appendage now almost with it?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I actually never thought I would be able to make music. I didn't really have the privilege of learning how to study music as a younger person, and it just seemed really challenging. And then I went to a women's electronic music making workshop that was run by women only for women, and it just kind of created a safe space to learn in. And she had sequences there, and I realized that this is it. This is for me. Like, it works, and it just works with the way my brain works. I guess more I understand computers better than I understand instruments and reading music. So I thought maybe I could do this.
And obviously you can. Very well.
And I think when you work in an office job and you're looking computer all day, it's really nice to play with hardware when you get home. Yeah.
You're like, I want to take apart this computer.
Yeah. Not having to look at a screen is nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you're also part of Eastern Sound Collective, a Wellington-based collective of East Asian DJs, musicians, producers, and industry members. Could you tell us a little bit about how the collective came to be?
Yeah, sure. I was coming back from Scotland, sitting in MIQ, and wondering how I was going to rebuild a sense of community back in Wellington again after being away for 5 years. And one of the things that had become really important to me in Scotland was connecting with people of the same ancestry as me, but with that kind of common thread of creativity. In Asian culture, like, working in the arts is not always encouraged, particularly if you're first and second generation, because it's about survival and trying to find sensible jobs. So I thought I'll reach out and see if I could find other musicians of Asian ethnic background who may want to hang out, and put the call out. And it was a really lovely response. And the first meeting, we sat there and talked about, like, do we need this? And it was really clear that we did. And it's been a year now, and we've run a few gigs, and it's going great. Yeah.
That's awesome. Would you tell us your perceptions of the Aotearoa music industry as a member of part of this collective now, being able to kind of be with the Eastern Sound Collective?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I think, like, it's definitely a changing environment, and I think Aotearoa is really adaptive, which is wonderful. So I think one of the things that motivated me to want to set up the Eastern Sound Collective was because I just didn't see representation of... And that makes it harder as well to convince your community that you should do this, because they don't see other people like us in it. So we probably don't belong there. And but then we're getting a few more artists coming out, like Ashy's looking really cool. We've got Reshma Martin, and it's seems some really great stuff happening. And so I think it is changing, and that's great. And I feel like they're starting to hear our call. So I think part of the problem with New Zealand is there's the bias, but it's also more about the fact that it's a small community, and then the music community is small, and people want to bring in their mates to stuff, and they forget that by only including their mates, they're excluding a lot of people without even intending to. So it's just about reminding people that we exist, and then doors start to open. Yeah,
and that you're here and part of it. Yeah. What doors do you think have started to open to you, particularly with creating this collective and being one of the leaders within it?
I suppose we haven't broken any major ground yet. We'd like to. I think I'm seeing some of the artists in our group starting to do well, but maybe just off their own back. Cool. I've had a wonderful reception from Radio At, who have been very welcoming, and I'm very appreciative.
We love
of
you.
That. It's so nice. And I'm getting accepted into music festivals, which is fantastic, even as an unknown artist. So that's wonderful. But I think a lot of the artists in our group work hard to push past those boundaries. We have a rapper in the group called Breezy, who's now like hitting millions on Spotify, and he's doing that really off his own back, just pushing hard all the time, marketing himself.
He does the most, eh?
Yeah,
like, it's crazy.
And pushing past New Zealand audiences, marketing himself. He's now like on major Spotify playlists for Bangladesh. and you don't do that through your regular playlisting. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking that time to talk a little bit about the Eastern Sound Collective. I wanted to know a little bit more about that. But how about we go into a second song?
Sure.
Thank you.
This song is called Blonde. I wanna be blonde when I grow up. I wanna be blonde with a double D cup. I wanna be blonde with legs that go up, 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 all the way up. Daughter of an immigrant, still Bobby has an imprint. Knows how beauty is perceived, knows what society sees. Brown skin, dark hair, bony knees. Don't let them see that fire. Oh, smell the burning spice. I wanna be blonde when I grow up. I wanna be blonde with a double D cup. I wanna be blonde with legs that go up, 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 all the way up. Put away the turmeric and coconut oil. Use beauty products packaged in plastic and foil. Forget about the virtues of timid and immune. Women of the West use sex and allure. Chilies for love. Lose your traditions or you will be stuck. I wanna be blonde when I grow up.
Ooh, that was Blonde by Misleading in studio for our very first active live back of 2022. And what better way? How good. So you obviously don't shy away from intense themes, which is like awesome.
Yeah.
I listened to your first single with Misleading, Sex Pest, thinking it would just be a funny feminist tune, which it is.
Yeah.
And it hits hard, and the lyrics are cutting the music video in spite of the stick figure animation style. Like, it's really cool because I did a bit of a stalk on your website as well and saw
great.
your cartoons and your animations. They're really funny. If like people like cartoons, please head to iammisleadingwhat.com.
You did a good dive because I buried them because I'm
yeah.
almost a bit embarrassed.
No, I'm FBI when it comes to that type of stuff.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. If you like funny cartoons, there's one about armpits, which I loved.
I'm so glad you did that. It's real. It's real.
It's
Only
real.
your left armpit gets stinky.
It does. But yeah, I was just wanting to talk to you about the poetic and the lyrical structure with the visual elements that you give to your music.
Sure.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about Sex Pest or
everything, all of it, the whole lyrics?
Sex Pest was a bit of an accident because I was making these terrible cartoons, and for anyone listening, I can't draw, not at all. So there's these terrible stick figures that I used to sort of just as another way to communicate certain messages I wanted to do, and at the same time I'd also written Sex Pest, which is, it's a funny, lively song about consent, really. And it can hit quite hard in some areas, but it's also supposed to be funny and fun because sex is funny and fun. So, I guess the visual element of my stuff, I haven't really had much of a chance to explore it. I've put I've made a few just like fun, silly music videos, usually off a cell phone. The last one I made was in lockdown, and me and my husband just did that together off my cell phone and just had a bit of fun making it.
That's so cool.
I've got a new one that's actually properly made in a studio with real camera people that will be coming out hopefully in the next couple months.
Oh, awesome.
And that one's for Woke, which you'll hear soon, which is a bit more of a serious tone to it, and I wanted to reflect that in the music and the visuals for that.
How did you film the video that you got coming out? Was it also yourself as well, or a whole team?
So no, it was me and I can't remember the name of the studio in Wellington we used, but yeah, and it's I'll just ruin the surprise. It's just me hacking my hair off, really. So, because I needed a haircut anyway, so I just thought I'd like make a literal song and dance about it.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I was very lucky. It just so happened that the person running the studio was like an award-winning hairdresser in the 80s. So he gave me like a nice haircut, so I didn't have to leave with like Shaun of the Dead hair. So that was very nice.
Nice. That's very cool. Talking about kind of shows, you were telling me a little bit off air that you are also part of the Aotearoa New Zealand Writers Festival, and you have your own solo theatre show.
Yeah, I've been busy, right?
You've been so busy. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, I just I feel very, very privileged to be a part of that, and I've ended up writing a fictional narrative about parallel universes using only poetry, and it's been super fun to try to figure out how to do that, because poetry is usually just about yourself, and I had to write it about other people's ideas and other people's lives, and so that's now available online for viewing until the 3rd of April.
Awesome, and it is called Another Universe.
Yeah.
How good. How did you get the inspiration for the solo theatre show with the Another Universe?
Well, I wrote a poem called Another Universe, where in the poem I take there's 3 different stories of different lives I could have lived, because I'm a person who like constantly has regrets about different, thinking if I'd only done this or if I didn't do that, and so I have these narratives in my head of what's happening to those other people who made those choices, and maybe they're not better off. So I decided to explore that a little bit more in this show.
That's very cool. That's very cool. All right, I think we have time for one more track from you.
One more.
One more.
Okay, do you want like something serious or a bit more uplifting?
You're the driver.
I'm the driver.
You get to decide, because I'll love both.
I'll do something serious. I don't play this one as much, so
please,
this is Woke.
Yeah. Let's do. Oh, this is Woke. Awesome.
So you woke now, been asleep for years, you seem choke now, deluge of white tears, like it just broke, same system always there, fire was stoked, long before you cared. Tell me I'm sensitive. Tell me it's in my head. Gaslight me to this bend you make for us. Tell me what's just, how we make fights. We make fights. It was just bad luck. You're the 3rd in 9. No, not me. I'm always on time. It's the way you're dressed, how you talk to them. Follow the rules. You'll be fine. Tell me I'm sensitive. Tell me it's in my head. Gaslight me to this bend you make for us. Tell me what's just, how we make fuss. We make fuss, we make fuss, we make fuss. It's just their job, their bad day. That was a different person, a different day. Different accent, different skin. It's different, it's different, it's different, it's different. Eyes watch me in the store. Black bodies hit the floor. Brown bodies wash ashore. We want more. We want more. So you woke now. Been asleep for years. You seem choked now. Deluge of white tears, like it just broke. Nice was never enough.
Woke by Misleading. Thank you so much, live here on Active Live. You can keep up to date with Misleading, I think, on all of I Am Misleading hashtag.
Yeah, I Am Misleading on Instagram, iammisleading.com, or I think it's just Misleading on Facebook. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to let our audience know before we wrap up today?
No, just have a great day.
Yeah, everyone have a great day. And thank you so much to you for joining us for our first Active Live back. That was brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
All right, now we are going through to Friday Drive with Lexi. Take it away.
Active Live. Friday, 3:30. Every week a new band. In the studio. Brought to you by NZ On Air.